Hi, I hope you're well today. Today I want to talk to you about how alcohol kind of gets in the way of you living your life, or at least how alcohol used to get in the way of me living my life. And I had a sudden light bulb moment yesterday morning. This is going to sound really bizarre, like a really tiny thing, but it really struck me and made me kind of do a comparison almost with how things are now that I'm living my life sober and how things used to be when I was drinking. And this tiny thing was that I discovered the last sort of few days I've been noticing signs of mouse droppings around the kitchen dining area here at home. And this, I have to be completely honest with you, mice don't bother me. I'm not too fussed about snakes, rodents, anything like that. Spiders I have a massive issue with, but mice I'm not too bothered about. However, not only do they present a sort of unhygienic factor, and I don't want I don't want mice droppings all over the cupboards and stuff, but my partner, my boyfriend, has a really big phobia about rodents. So if I see any signs of mice, I kind of have to deal with it without letting him know that I'm dealing with it and without letting him know there's an issue. So I kind of take care of all of that. And for the last few days, I've been noticing signs of mice in the house. So I've thought to myself, right, I've got to deal with this. But I've been really busy. I've had loads on, but I'm thinking, right, I've really got to deal with this because I've got to get rid of all the traces of this before my boyfriend notices anything. Because if he notices anything, it means he's not going to be able to sleep. He's going to be stressed. He's going to end up with migraines. There'll be a whole catalogue of issues that will follow. So I had to deal with this. And because we live in the middle of the country, we're very rural here. We're surrounded by fields and hay and crops and all sorts of things. Mice are a really common issue. So I spoke to one of the neighbours and I said, look, I want to get hold of something to get rid of these mice. Do you have any suggestions? Where do I go? Because I've dealt with mice before. I know what to do. And she said, yeah. She said, I've got stacks of traps, humane traps. And she said, I can give you a couple of traps, no problem at all. Great, fine. So this was, can't remember what evening this was, but this was one evening. I had a chat with her. She gave me the traps. I hid them so my boyfriend couldn't see them. What I then had to do the next morning, first thing in the morning, was I had to get up as soon as he'd left and gone to work. I had to then, before I got on with my day, I had to then go through the cupboard. So I had to do a massive clean-up job. I had to, when you have to actually clean the cupboards, I'm not a cleaning type person. I don't really enjoy, if you were a real clean freak, you'd come into my house and you would notice dust. You would notice, I'm sure you would notice things that you would want to get rid of. However, I have my own level of cleanliness. And my level of cleanliness is that every few months or so, I will open the cupboard doors, I'll take everything out the cupboards, I'll get a disinfectant spray or an antibacterial spray everything, put everything back. And I do that once in a while. And this was one of those times. I had to get up, I had to stand on a chair, I had to open all the cupboards, I had to first use a dry cloth to get rid of all the droppings that I could see. I had to sweep everything out. I then had to get the spray, climb back up again, spray it, get a wet cloth, hot wet cloth, wipe it all down. I then had to use a fresh clean cloth to get that all clean and dry, just to make sure there were no signs of anything. I then had to place the traps in the right places, then had to put everything back in the cupboards. And actually, the light bulb moment wasn't so much in the middle of doing all of this. I had the radio on, I was quite merrily getting on with all of this. It was afterwards when I sat down, opened my laptop to get on with some work, that I realised that because I'm now living my life sober, when I have to deal with these things, okay, it's a minor thing. The issue with it was that I had to get it done behind my boyfriend's back. I had to do it secretly. I had to do it before I had to get on with other commitments in my day. So I had to squeeze it in between breakfasts and stuff, breakfasts and work and appointments and things. I had to squeeze it into my day. And I just had to get on with it. I had to get up, I had to put the radio on. I did it, and I actually quite enjoyed doing it. It wasn't a big issue, just got on with it, just did it. And as I sat down, I opened my computer and I started getting on with my work. I thought, yeah, tick that off the list, that's done. And I just thought back to, I had a memory of when I used to drink and I used to wake up in the mornings and I would have things on my to-do list which wouldn't even get done because I was feeling so crap. I would just be struggling to get through the day. And I would be kind of counting the hours until the evening when I could relax and have a drink and start to feel okay again. And I thought back to this and I thought, you know, even the things on my to-do list didn't get done when I was drinking, let alone if there was something like mice in the house that had to be dealt with. I couldn't think of an exact comparison, but I could remember times when things needed to get done or things cropped up that needed dealing with. And me being in a hungover haze most of the time, or even if not in a hungover haze, just feeling generally rubbish, not at the top of my game, not full of energy first thing in the morning. Things like dealing with the mice, cleaning out the cupboards, making sure everything was clean and hygienic, making sure that the traps were all in place, talking to the neighbour, explaining the problem. Even something as simple as talking to the neighbour would have caused me a problem because when I was drinking, I wouldn't have been able to sort of look her in the eye. I would have feeling a bit paranoid, a bit ashamed. I would have been worried that she might smell stale alcohol on my breath. That whole conversation wouldn't have been an easy one. I would have had to really make an effort to have that conversation. So I was just drawing these comparisons between how things were then and how things are now. And the fact that I can just wake up, I can plan things out really clearly and easily in my head. I can get on and clean out the cupboards and do that first thing in the morning and squeeze it all in between all my other commitments. I can set all the mouse traps. I can get everything clean. I can deal with it all. No problem at all. In my drinking days, it would have been a problem. It wouldn't have been dealt with. Those cupboards would have sat there in the state they were in for a good few days, maybe even a few weeks, before I actually kind of got the energy together, got the brain cells together, got the courage together. Why it would have taken courage, I don't know, but it would have done. It would have taken a lot of energy and effort to have got into the right state of mind to have gone and dealt with the mice, to have dealt with that whole situation. And that was the comparison I was making. And it just seems to me, the longer that I'm sober, it strikes me quite often, quite regularly, how much easier it is to get on with life and deal with the things that life throws at you when you're sober, because you have the energy, you have the brain cells working. Nothing is the effort that it used to be when I was drinking. Conversations are easy. I'm just 100% me in conversations. I'm not worrying about how I'm coming across. I'm not feeling ashamed. I'm not feeling guilty. I'm not paranoid about my breath. I'm not paranoid about what other people are thinking. I'm simply being me, and I'm happy with being me, and I'm just getting on with things. And it's just great. It is just fantastic. And occasionally these things crop up. Like I say mice infestation, that's probably a slight exaggeration. There's maybe one. And since I've done all the trap setting, nothing has been caught in the traps and there's no further sign of any mice. So I think we're fine. But you can deal with all of these things that life throws at you, minor or major, so much more easily when you don't have alcohol getting in the way, when you're not struggling to get through each day, when you're not struggling to even just do the things on your to-do list, let alone deal with anything else that's thrown at you. It just makes life so much easier. And it was just like a kind of light bulb moment that happened to me as I sat down, opened my computer, started work, just thought, blimey, I have dealt with this issue really quickly and efficiently. It's not even 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm starting work prompt at 9. This never would have happened in my drinking days. It just wouldn't have happened. I would have put it off and put it off and put it off. There would have been commitments in my diary that had been cancelled or reorganised. I might have eventually got round to it later on, either in the day or the week or the month. Things just get so much easier. You become so much more productive and efficient, and you just enjoy things more. Like I say, I had the radio on, I was cleaning out the cupboards quite merrily, singing along. Yes, it was a chore. Yes, I didn't want to have to do it, but you kind of just get on and do it. It's not the big deal that it becomes when you're drinking and you're struggling with hangovers and feeling crap. So I just wanted to share that with you and give you a little bit of inspiration, a bit of motivation, a kind of light at the end of the tunnel, so that you know when you're sober for long enough that it becomes second nature, life just gets better and better. If you want more inspiration, motivation, and you want to share more of my own sober journey, then you can subscribe to my channel. I'll look forward to catching up with you very soon. But in the meantime, let's go get sober together.